I've been trying to call. I've been on my own for long enough. Maybe you can show me how to love. Maybe I'm going through withdrawals. You don't even have to do too much. You can turn me on with just a touch, baby. I look around and since it's cold and empty, no one's around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep right until I feel your heart touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust. I'm running out of time, 'cause I can see the sun light up the sky. So I hit the road in overdrive, baby. Hit the road in overdrive. The city's cold and empty. No one's around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your heart touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust. I'm coming back to let you know I can never say it on the phone. But when I let you go this time, I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. Feel free to be whoever you want to be. Feel free to dance, feel free to sing, just feel free. Feels like the world is picking on ya.
What's going on, everybody? Can I tell you something? Right here on episode 42 of the Two Tone Talk podcast. You know who I can't stand? I can't stand the Indianapolis Colts. God help me. I can't stand them. Can't stand them. I hate their stupid white helmets. I hate that stupid logo on the side of the helmets. I hate their stupid stadium. I hate their stupid field where people keep getting hurt because their field sucks. I hate how overhyped they always are. I'm not gonna say I hate their players and coaches because I don't want to say I hate anybody, but I just don't like them. I don't like their blue t-shirts. It's a different kind of blue than this. You know, this is like a pleasant, beautiful blue. But the Colts blue is like if you it's like if you ate like a blue crayon and then threw it up and then pooped in it. That's the Colts kind of blue. I just don't like it. I don't like seeing them succeed. I don't like seeing them happy when it comes to football. I don't like it. And I hope that the Titans beat them Sunday. I hope the Titans beat them so bad that they cry. Like I want to see players and fans leaving that stadium contemplating whether the franchise should even stay intact. You know, wondering if they should sell their season tickets after this Sunday, you know? I'm only partially kidding, everybody. I don't like the Colts. In a completely healthy, football-related way, I don't like the Colts. So, that brings me to talk about the game on Sunday between the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. This is the Titans' first divisional game of the year. And really, it's their last divisional game for a little bit. If you look at the schedule, I don't think they have another division game for like another month because they have a London game, and then they have the bye, and then they have, I think the Falcons and the Steelers are their first two games back after the bye. So I don't think they have another division game for a while. Luke in the chat says, when are you going to start going live for games? I don't know if I got that in me. Luke also says, I'm going to be honest, ever since Luck has left, I feel sorry for the Colts for how badly they've sucked. Not me. I couldn't be me. I don't feel bad. Because you want to know what? When Andrew Luck was there, they beat the crap out of us every time they faced us. So I have no sympathy. But the Titans and the Colts play each other this Sunday in Indianapolis. And probably the return of Jonathan Taylor. Probably. You know, he's pretty good. I call him DGDH, Dollar General Derrick Henry. That's what I call Jonathan Taylor. He's good, but I mean, our guy's better, I think. I don't think I know. And so, yeah, I mean, he'll probably be back in the lineup. Anthony Richardson, Anthony Richardson has looked better than I thought he was going to be. I was very adamant about the fact when the draft went down that I am not a big believer in Anthony Richardson. I was not a big believer in Anthony Richardson. There were talk of the Titans possibly getting Anthony Richardson. I didn't want him to do it, to be fair. I didn't want him to get Will Levis either. And so I wanted CJ Stroud is who I wanted. But, you know, Anthony Richardson, he's looked better than I thought he would. They have yet to win a game with him as their quarterback. I mean, the games they've won, they had Gardner Minshew in there. But, you know, he's made some nice throws. He's obviously prevalent in the run game. And especially with Jonathan Taylor coming back, you're going to have to account for that. But the guy that the Colts have had in there, in Jonathan Taylor's absence, he's done pretty good too. So, you know, you're going to have to watch that run game. I think you're going to have to try to make Anthony Richardson beat you throwing the ball. And he's made some nice throws, but, you know, he's a rookie quarterback. I think that with a rookie quarterback and a defensive line like the Titans have, you've got to rattle him. You've got to get Big Jeff. You've got to get Danico Autry, who always plays well against the Colts because they didn't re-sign him, and he's got a little chip on his shoulder. But I would love to see Big Jeff and Autry and Arden Key and Harold Landry. I mean, we need to see these guys. We need to bring some blitzes. We need to bring the house to come after this guy. Rookie quarterback, you got to rattle him. You know, you don't have the home field advantage this week. So at their place, you gotta get after them. And speaking of the home field advantage, I mean the thing that concerns me is that both times the Titans have played on the road so far this year, they have been horrendous both times. At New Orleans and at Cleveland, they have been awful, and I find it hard to believe that the home field advantage for Tennessee makes that big of a difference. That they're able to play the way they did against LA and the way they did against Cincinnati. You're going to tell me that's because of your home stadium? I mean, come on. Like, the fans have been great in Nissan Stadium for those two games, but let's not act like we're talking about, like, Seattle or Kansas City here. Like, or Buffalo. It shouldn't make that big a difference. We got to be able to go on the road and win games. And so I would like to see Tennessee take the fans out of this thing early. The Colts are hungry. Listen, man, the Colts have not beaten the Titans since 2019. So, I mean, like early in the season, 2019. So the Colts really want to beat the Titans. They really want to get that monkey off their back, and they would love to do it in their home stadium. So you better realize they're going to come in there and they're going to be hungry for a win. Not just because of it's the Titans, but because we're in the AFC South where everybody's 2-2, and the slate is kind of just clean, and everybody's on even playing field. It seems, at least record wise, and everybody wants to get a little bit of separation. And I think there's a huge opportunity for both of these teams because there's a good chance that Jacksonville could very well lose Sunday. I mean, they're playing Buffalo. I'm not going to say they're going to lose, but there's a good chance the Jaguars could lose. Houston scares me right now. They're playing Atlanta. But either way, Indianapolis and Tennessee both have the opportunity to get a game up on Jacksonville if Jacksonville were to lose to Buffalo on Sunday morning in London. Sunday morning our time, I mean. And so it's a big opportunity to really get a leg up on at least two teams in the AFC South. And I need to see some consistency from the Titans. Week 1, they were horrible. Week 2, they were good. Week 3, they were horrible. Week 4, they were great. You've got to put some consistency together. You've got to decide what this team is. Are they the team that went to Cleveland and got embarrassed? Are they the team that whooped up on Cincinnati? Or are they somewhere in between? I don't know. But we got to figure it out. I mean, you can't... I don't want this roller coaster ride to continue that we've had through the first month of the season where it's down and then up and then down and then up. I would like to get some consistency and be able to feel more stable because right now I have no idea what I'm tuning into from one week to the next. I have no idea whether I'm going to watch a secondary who can cover or a secondary who gets burned all the time. I don't know whether I'm going to watch an offensive line who can protect their quarterback or an offensive line who's going to give their quarterback 0.2 seconds. Am I going to see a quarterback who can make nice throws to give his team a chance to win, or am I going to see a quarterback who looks totally uncomfortable and throws a bunch of interceptions? So I would like to see some consistency. Obviously, I think we're going to have some guys returning to the lineup that we haven't seen in a while, such as, Peter Skoronski, who we haven't seen since week 1, Nicholas Petit-Frere, who we haven't seen yet this year, and Kyle Phillips, who we haven't seen yet this year. I think all three of those guys will probably be available. Kyle Phillips probably going to be returning punts, but I would like to see him, involved in the pass game. I mean, we've seen how quick he is. If he's available, I would like to see him in the slot doing some things. And offensive line-wise, I mean, we've seen the clips. They've apparently got Nicholas Petit-Frere working in a little bit of left tackle. And that's kind of been the weak spot is left tackle with Andre Dillard. And I'm telling you, you can't be weak at left tackle when you've got a right-handed quarterback. That's not a position where you can just have guys running free, So I wouldn't be surprised to see Dillard get the start alongside Skoronski, but if he's having a hard time, they may go with Petit-Frere. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Petit-Frere become the starting left tackle at some point this year. Traylon Burks, I would not expect him to play. I don't know, man. I don't know about Burks. He had some injury issues last year that kept him out of a lot of games. Obviously, I would be shocked if he's able to play Sunday. So this will be the second game already this year that he's missed. It's a concern. We talk about Kyle Phillips and his injuries and how that's a concern. Man, Traylon's had some injuries too. I understand things like the Eagles game last year where it was kind of a dirty hit that, I understand stuff like that. But anyway you slice it, the best ability is availability, and Traylon's out a lot. The good news is DeAndre Hopkins has been really good. I think whether Traylon's in there or not, D-Hop is wide receiver one. And honestly, whether Traylon's in there or not, it kind of feels like Chris Moore and Nick Westbrook-Akine are getting more production than him when he's in there. So I'm not saying I'm rooting against Traylon Burks. I'm obviously rooting for him. I hope when he comes back, he's able to come back and be really good and be wide receiver one. But right now, he has kind of let a veteran like DeAndre Hopkins come in and kind of take that spot. And even some guys like Chris Moore and Nick Westbrook-Akine getting more production than him, and now he's been hurt, and so we'll see. I do want to say there were rumors about Traylon Burks on Twitter that he was unhappy in Nashville and that he's got attitude problems. Unbelievable to me how this stuff takes off and just gets traction on Twitter, because there's not one credible source that has said that, by the way. Some random Twitter account with, I'll tell you right now, my Twitter account, this is a podcast. I give my opinions on the Titans. I give my opinions on things going on, but I do not claim to be an inside source that's got inside information, because that would be a lie. But there's some Twitter account out there that said they have inside information and they know that Traylon Burks is not happy. And everybody just believes it. I don't know. Everybody's just sharing it and is like, oh man, Traylon's probably going to be traded. It's like, we're just going to go with this just because some random account said it? Like, what are we even doing? I'm going to do my 32-1 at Two Tone Talk Power Rankings here. So this is based on my opinion. This is totally based on my opinion. Records and how teams look, of course, but this is just how I see it as we go into week 5. 32-1, starting with the bottom 3. The worst 3 teams in the league, and coming in at 32 is the only winless team left in the NFL this year, and that is the Carolina Panthers. God bless them. They just don't have much going on good on that team at all. So they're 0-4. Like I said, only winless team left. They're 32. At 31, I have got to go with the New York Giants. The Giants, who have paid Daniel Jones a heck of a lot of money, and he does not look good at all, but he's not alone. The offensive line looks bad. Everything looks out of whack about this Giants team, and what a regression they've done from last year being a playoff team to whatever the heck they're doing this year in a really good division. At number 30, I've got the New England Patriots, and I had the Patriots in the upper 20s last week, but man, I'm dropping them off. The only win they have is over the Jets, who were really struggling with Zach Wilson. So the Patriots got absolutely throttled by the Cowboys this week. Mac Jones looked horrible. Like, no wonder he cup checks everybody. He's got to try to make up for the fact that he's just apparently not very good right now at playing quarterback in the NFL. He's throwing the ball across the field. He's throwing the ball across his body. It's not looking good. And the Patriots already this year, they have had the worst start that they've had under Bill Belichick since 2001. And then this game was the worst loss that they have suffered under Belichick since God only knows when. So that's a bottom 3, Panthers, Giants, Pats. Now we get into the 20s, where at 29, I've got the Chicago Bears. Now I had the Bears at last week. Then they gave up the big lead against Denver and lost to them. And it was like, well, they're probably staying at 32. But then they played last night on Thursday Night Football, and they looked great. They whooped up on the Commanders. They looked like a totally different team. I don't know what to make of the Bears. Obviously, you're going to need to see some more consistency out of them. You can't just throw them up on this list real high just based on one performance, but I think Justin Fields did potentially show what he can be capable of. DJ Moore, I think what they got out of him last night was, what they hoped they were getting when they traded for him in the first place. And we'll see where the Bears go from here, because obviously until last night, it has been total, complete disarray for that team. 28, the Broncos, they got their first win, had to come back against Chicago. I'm not a big believer in Denver. They still feel totally out of whack to me too, but they're in a division with the Chiefs, so you can't really afford to lose too many of these games early on. So they, they came back and beat the Bears. Good for them. Number 27, the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals have a lot of fight, but at the end of the day, not a lot of talent. Kyler Murray's going to be coming back soon, but, it's just in a division with the 49ers and the Seahawks. It's just, you get what you get, and the Cardinals come in at 27 on this list. Number 26, the Minnesota Vikings, another team that seems to be in complete disarray this whole year, and kind of like the Giants, taking a huge step back. They just look out of whack. They did win on Sunday, but they beat Carolina, who I've already said I think is the worst team in the league right now. So we'll see, but the Vikings in a division with Detroit, that's kind of tough. 25, the Raiders. They showed some fight. They were without their starting quarterback, and they tried to come back against the Chargers the other day. But, you've got a lot of people calling for Josh McDaniels' heads. You've got players like Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams liking tweets insinuating that Josh McDaniels is not doing a good job. And the teams that you find toward the bottom of this list, a lot of them have something in common, and that is that their locker room's in total disarray. With social media now being what it is, I think you have more and more players, when they're unhappy with how the team's doing, they go like some tweets, they go post some passive-aggressive stuff, and that could be about a litany of different things that they can take back later. But the Raiders are one of those teams right now. I think a lot of Josh McDaniels, the seat's getting hot for him. Number 24, the Jets. The Jets lost this week, but they showed a lot of fight, and I think if I'm a Jets fan, I have significantly more hope that Zach Wilson can actually be something. They had a shot to win that game. They should have had more of a shot to win it. I think the referees were absolutely abysmal toward the end of that game, and I don't know if it was the Taylor Swift effect or what for the Chiefs, but the Jets, they showed heart. They're showing grit. I don't know if Zach Wilson's going to be able to figure it out enough to get them over the hump to where they can compete. Remember, they're in a division with the Bills and the Dolphins, so they got a tough row to hoe. Number 23, the Packers. The Packers take a good little fall down the list. I think the Packers their offense kind of looks like what the Titans does on the weeks when the Titans are bad. They just don't have a lot of talent on the outside. Protection's not great. Jordan Love, you're not used to seeing bad quarterback play for the Packers, but he's having a little bit of trouble finding his way. He's shown signs, but, he hasn't totally taken the reins like Favre or Rodgers did. We'll see as they go forward, but they don't have a lot of people there to help him out on offense either. Number 22, the Steelers. The Steelers were a team, they show grit, they show heart, but they looked absolutely horrible on Sunday against Houston. Obviously, Kenny Pickett got hurt in that game and he had to go out. But the Steelers, I'm going to land them at 22. They take a little dip down the list here because they, I think that they're in a tough division too, and they don't have they obviously, Deontay Johnson, who I think is a very underrated wide receiver in the league, but Kenny Pickett, you're still kind of unsure about what they have with him, and then he got hurt Sunday, and obviously it got out of hand. But I got the Steelers at 22, and then I've got our friends, the Indianapolis Colts, at 21. As I said about them earlier, Anthony Richardson has looked better than I thought he would, and I think that Jonathan Taylor coming back, I think that, they're 2-2, they're in the mix. I just hate the Colts. So, I refuse to put them any higher than that right now. But I really don't let my own bias, make this list. As you're going to see in a second, I have some other teams in the AFC South that have taken big jumps up this list. But for real, in analyzing the Colts, I think they need more weapons for Anthony Richardson if he can continue to build on some of the good things he's done. They need some weapons around him to kind of help him out. But the Colts, they showed some fight on Sunday. They got down big to the Rams, came back to send it to overtime, ended up coming up short at the end. So I got them at 21. Going on to 20, the Rams, the team that beat the Colts. I mean, the Rams are gritty. They're a good little team there. I don't know. I don't have the Rams still as a playoff team, but I think the Rams, there's something to the fact that they still have some pieces from that Super Bowl team. And they've got some young talent on that team coming in. And obviously, Cooper Kupp coming back is going to help them some too. So, not a team to sleep on at all. Number 19, the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons, I don't think Desmond Ritter is the answer to their problems at all. I don't think that Desmond Ritter's their guy. And I think Taylor Heineke is their backup. And if Ritter keeps playing the way he does, I wouldn't be surprised to see Heineke get the call here pretty soon. And I think Ritter's probably on the shortest leash that he's been on. The Falcons just looked bad in that London game. And they've got some good pieces, so that's the reason why I think they will go in another direction if Ritter continues to not play well, because they've got too much good going on that team in other areas to let it be held back by a quarterback who's just not playing well. Number 18, the good guys, the Titans. I had them at 22 last week. Take them up to 18. You whooped up on the Bengals. It's just all about consistency with the Titans. It's all about consistency. Can you continue to build on what you did against Cincinnati, or are we going to take 12 steps back and struggle to get a first down on Sunday? I can't really move the Titans up the list too much if they're going to, continue to be up and down and up and down. Number 17, the Washington Commanders. The Commanders looked horrible last night, but here's what I think happened to the Commanders. On Sunday, the Commanders put up such a great fight against the Eagles and took them to overtime. I mean, they played hard against Philadelphia. And I know there's no such thing as moral victories, but I mean, the Commanders played hard. And I think having to come back Thursday night, I think they were just exhausted. And I think they had spent everything they had on Sunday, and now they kind of get a mini bye after playing last night. And so I think they're going to need that time to kind of just reset everything. But in either way, they have lost 2 games within a few days, and that's never a good thing. So Commanders need a little break. They showed a lot of heart against Philly, and then they just looked wore out against Chicago last night. Number 16, the Houston Texans. I have shot the Texans up this list like 11 spots, and I hate to do it because I hate the Texans because they're in the AFC South. But C.J. Stroud looks really, really good. He's taking a receiving core full of guys that you look at and you're like, well, what's going on here? This is not the best lineup I've ever seen. But they are starting to build some momentum. I mean, they beat a Steelers team pretty bad, and the Steelers had just won 2 games in a row. The week before that, they beat a Jaguars team that everybody thought was going to run the AFC South. I'm worried about the Texans. Consider me officially right now worried about the Houston Texans because C.J. Stroud looks good. He looks good. That's why I wanted him in Nashville. He looks really good, and I hope it's just a fluke, but we'll see. Number 15, the Saints. Saints looked really bad Sunday. I'm literally making these lists. I didn't want to shoot the Texans too far up the list, but I'm landing the Saints at 15 because I think 15 represents like a very, middle of the pack team that could beat, one of the big teams in the NFL, but could also lose to a team like Minnesota or Denver. And the Saints kind of represent that to me. I'm anxious to see what happens when they get Kamara back. I think they probably have a good defense, but the quarterback play to me has been subpar for them so far. And they had a tough go of it Sunday. So I'm going to hesitantly put them at 15, but even though I made this list, that feels high. I'm keeping the Browns up at 14. I know they looked bad Sunday, but they were without their starting quarterback. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think that I'm reading some of the comments. XD gamers trying to get me going here. But the Browns were without their starting quarterback, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt there. Playing a really good Ravens team without your starting quarterback probably not going to end well. So I'm not going to totally say that the Browns are trash because of how that game went. Number 13, the Bengals. I mean, they're in a unique position with Joe Burrow. I think they're in a very unique position with Joe Burrow. You're not going to see many 1-3 teams that would be this high on the list, but I'm really giving the Bengals the benefit of the doubt here and assuming that they can figure this out. But they're in a unique position with Burrow. He clearly doesn't look healthy. He clearly is not as mobile as he would normally be. And if he looks bad again Sunday, and if he looks like he can't really move around much, you're in a position where you really need to just put the guy on IR and give him time to rest, which IR is at least 4 games. The problem is with the Ravens doing what they're doing in that division, and then a teams, like the Browns and Steelers, who you never know, you may be really out of this thing by the time he's able to come back. You may be too far gone at that point. So, yeah, he needs the rest, but if you give him the rest and you're not able to win games without him, you may really be in a tough spot when he comes back, and that might make this entire season a total wash. So, we'll see. But, the Bengals, I'm really giving them the benefit of the doubt, putting them this high on the list. Number 12, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I still don't think looked that good Sunday, but beat Atlanta. Somebody asked if the rumors were true about Jamar Chase being unhappy with the Bengals. I mean, he definitely seemed unhappy in the locker room after the game with some of the answers that he gave that I can't even repeat here because of the profanity. But as far as like wanting to trade or something, I doubt it. I think he was just unhappy because they got smoked by the Titans. Back to the Jaguars. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's going to click at some point. I think that they have not looked as good as people thought they were going to look. I don't think that they've lived up to the expectations yet. But they've got an opportunity Sunday playing Buffalo. If you can beat them, all of a sudden people are going to start to believe again. So we'll see. Jags are at 12. Number 11, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. I got to give it to them. They have a chip on their shoulder, and Baker Mayfield's kind of leading that charge of having a chip on the shoulder. They're 3-1. And I'm looking at the other teams in their division. Atlanta with the struggling quarterback. New Orleans has a lot of areas where they're looking a little rough. Carolina's probably the worst team in the league. Why not Tampa Bay winning this division right now? If I'm the Buccaneers, I'm saying, hey, why not? Why not win this division? None of the other 3 teams are really taking the bull by the horns. And the Bucs, I keep waiting on them. I mean, I had the Bucs down as being one of the worst teams in the league going into this year. But you know what? They're 3-1. They hung in there with the Eagles last week. There's something to this little Baker Mayfield, and let's not act like it's bums on this team. You still got Mike Evans out there, who when healthy is a guy. So, I mean, watch out for Tampa Bay. That might be the team that could really, I mean, they've already surprised people. But, 3-1, I didn't have them getting off to a 3-1 start. Now we're to the top 10. Let's go through these real quick. Number 10, the Chargers. I'm telling you, and I said this when the Titans beat the Chargers. That was a good win for the Titans because the Chargers are a good team. I don't know about their coach. Now. He makes some iffy decisions, but Justin Herbert is a dude. And Keenan Allen is a dude. And Austin Eckler, who did not play and hasn't played in a couple weeks, he's a dude. They've got some talent on that team. That was a good win for Tennessee to get because I think the Chargers can still make some noise, in that AFC. I don't think they're going to win their division, but in that AFC wildcard race, they're going to be very alive there. So I got the Chargers at 10. I've got the Seahawks at 9. You know what? People still sleeping on Geno and the Seahawks, but the Seahawks have won 3 in a row. They looked really bad in week 1, but they've just looked great in the game since then. Unless we forget, like, the Detroit Lions, who I'm going to talk about in a second, they have 1 loss, and it was to the Seattle Seahawks. Like, Seattle ain't playing around, right? Their defense, the other night, I mean, they had Daniel Jones seeing ghosts on Monday night. So, Pete Carroll, newsflash, dude's a great coach. Dude is a great coach. And he's got these Seahawks playing really well. Number 8, let's go with our friends in Baltimore, the Ravens. And you already see who's coming at number 7. The Ravens have been consistent. They've been really good. They had to slip up against Indianapolis in the weather, and also Indianapolis had a little help from the referees to help them win that game. But the Ravens, they're consistently. You just feel like they've got something good going there, especially with the Bengals not getting off to a good start at all. They're kind of running things in that division right now. And then I got the Chiefs at 7. I got them staying put because I don't think the Chiefs looked good the other night. And I know Mahomes is a generational talent. Travis Kelce is a generational talent. And Taylor Swift is a generational talent. And apparently she's on the team now. But I think that I just didn't like how that game ended. It felt like they needed some help a little bit. I'm not saying that I believe in the conspiracy that the referees were actively trying to help the Chiefs win, but whether they were trying to help the Chiefs win or if they're just bad at their jobs, their calls helped the Chiefs win this game. And I know Mahomes is great. I'm not taking anything away from him or Kelce or Andy Reid or Taylor Swift or any of the rest of them. But I just don't feel like they've looked like the Chiefs yet. They're winning and they're 3-1, but they haven't looked like the Chiefs to me quite yet. Number 6, the Dallas Cowboys. And some people would say I should have the Cowboys in the top 5 because the Cowboys whooped up on the Patriots. And, the Cowboys they're just one of those teams that you never want to totally buy into because one week they'll look great and then the next week they'll look terrible. One week everybody will be saying they're going to the Super Bowl. The next week they'll lay an egg against Carolina or something like that. I mean, they just lost convincingly to the Cardinals last week. So who knows? But they looked like the real deal Sunday against New England. Into the top 5, the Miami Dolphins, who scored 70 points last week, got humbled this week. The Dolphins got humbled. I had them at number 1 on this list last week. Now, I don't think this is the end of the road for the Dolphins. They're fine. They're 3-1, and they lost to a very good team that I'm about to talk about. But they got brought down to earth. You ain't going to score 70 points every week. Some weeks you ain't even going to score 30. The Detroit Lions at 4. Lions look good. I like what they're doing in Detroit. I like their coach. I think Jared Goff is underrated. They got a lot of talent. And they got Jamison Williams coming back too. So look out for the Lions. These ain't your daddy's Lions. Okay. Number 3, the Eagles. Hey, the Eagles, it looks a little harder for them this year than it did last year. Last year they made it look easy. This year they're having a fight now. They're having to fight. They're having to scratch and claw to win these games. But you know what? They're 4-0. They're one of the only 2 undefeated teams left. They have a great roster, and the Eagles are still contenders, as bad as I hate to say it. Number 2, the Bills, man. The Bills, I feel like, are probably the hottest team in the league right now. Ever since they lost that game week 1, they just whooping everybody. They have whooped everybody, and that includes the Dolphins, who were coming off of a 70-point game. And the Bills, man, they're the real deal right now. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, they got this thing going. You better look out for the Bills. And then at number 1, this is the team that I've had at number 1 nearly every week, the San Francisco 49ers. They just look like a well-oiled machine. They've got it going on. So I've got the 49ers at number 1. There's the 32-1. Luke's asking if I was going to have the Titans at number 1. Listen, on this 32-1 power rankings, I have to put all bias aside. As bad as it hurts me, I have to put all bias aside and try to call it like an unbiased person. Where would I put these teams if I had no affiliation to any of them? And that's just kind of what I have to do every week. And it gets harder every week because the NFL is a very up and down league. And obviously, we cheer for a very up and down team right now. And speaking of, it's time to make picks for games this weekend. I will, of course, save the Titans game for last. Bears beat the Commanders last night. I talked about that. We've got a London game. Jags are in London again against the Bills. Bills are a 5.5-point favorite. I don't want the Jags to win this game, because this has potential. If the Jaguars can win this game, this has potential to be a turning point in their season, because they have not looked great so far. If you can win this game, this kind of starts to get people saying, okay, they beat Buffalo, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going with the Bills. I just think the Bills are rolling right now. They are rolling. They look great. I think the Jags can put up a good fight against them, but I got the Bills winning this game. Saints-Patriots. I mean, the Patriots are on the verge of, if they lose if they have another bad outing, it's time to start like talking about tanking or something. The Saints, obviously, the Saints need a win. They're trying to stay afloat in that very open NFC South. I'm going to go with the Saints winning this one. I think it's in New England, but Mac Jones just looks bad. And New Orleans has a good defense, and I think they are probably going to give Mac Jones some trouble, much like Dallas did. Maybe not as bad as Dallas did, but similar. Saints are desperate for a win. I got the Saints winning that game. Ravens, Steelers. This has random upset written all over it. I mean, Ravens, Steelers, these two teams is physical every time they play. Old school, nasty, in the trenches kind of games. Everybody's going to pick the Ravens to win, and for whatever reason, I'm going with the Steelers. It's in Pittsburgh. Steelers looked horrible last week. Got whooped real bad. You just feel like Mike Tomlin's going to have these guys ready to come out and make up for it. So I'm going with the Steelers over the Ravens. Texans, Falcons. I'd love to see the Falcons win so that I could stop worrying about the Texans so much, but I'm going with the Texans to win this game. And I hate to do it. I'm worried about these Texans. They looking good. So I'm going with the Texans over the Falcons. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be low scoring because the Falcons do have a good defense. But Desmond Ridder, this could be, the leash is so short for him. I feel like if he comes out and he's not playing well Sunday, they might pull him Sunday, But I'm going with the Texans to win this one. Panthers, Lions, I got the Lions. I think that the Panthers are they don't have very much going on there at all. And it's in Detroit. Detroit's got a ton of momentum. They're coming off of a mini bye. They're going to be rested up. I got the Lions over the Panthers. Giants, Dolphins. Ugh, it's not good to be a Giants fan because you're wanting to rebound after that terrible performance the other night, and you got to play a Miami team who's coming off of a bad performance themselves. You can't imagine them following up that Bills performance with a bad performance against the Giants. I'm going with the Dolphins. Bengals, Cardinals. I'm going with the Bengals. I'm going to say the Bengals figure it out and win this game. But if for whatever reason the Bengals lose to the Cardinals, it's time to start hitting the panic button. If the Bengals lose to the Cardinals, beep, panic button is going off. But I'm going with the Bengals to win. Eagles, Rams. I think the Rams will give the Eagles a really solid fight, but I'm going with the Eagles to win that one. Jets, Broncos. Oh, brother. I'm going to go Broncos. I think the Jets gave Kansas City all they had, and now I feel like they're going to be kind of deflated. I'm going with the Broncos. Chiefs, Vikings. Give me the Chiefs in this one. Minnesota, as I said earlier, Minnesota's just in total disarray. Sunday night's a good one. Waiting all day for Sunday night. Sunday night's a good one. Cowboys, 49ers. This is an opportunity for the Cowboys to show that they are a show-enough contender. Because, it kind of feels like the 49ers and the Eagles. Like, those are your two big contenders in the NFC. But the Cowboys are somewhere lurking, and if they can win this game, you're going to have people start talking about them as okay, legit contenders right there. Unfortunately, it's in San Francisco, and I almost sound like I cursed right there. I was going to say the freaking Cowboys, but it came across that I almost said something else. We don't curse on the Two Tone Talk podcast, even when the Titans lose. The Cowboys just can't find a way to beat the 49ers. It's usually in the playoffs, but I'm going with the 49ers beating the Cowboys here. It's in San Francisco, and like I said, the 49ers just a well-oiled machine. And then the Monday Nighter. How did this land on Monday Night Football? The Packers and the Raiders on Monday. That is brutal, dude. I'm going to go with the Raiders. It's in Las Vegas, prime time. I don't think Jordan Love has been in, I know he's played in prime time against Detroit, but this is on the road. in a rabid atmosphere like these Raiders fans are legit, I'm going with the Raiders. And then to close it out, the Titans and the Colts. The Titans and the Colts. I already said at the beginning what I feel like the Titans have to do to win this game. You got a rookie quarterback and you got a really good defensive line. You got to feast. You got to feast on this guy. You got to get in his face. You got to blitz him. Got to make him uncomfortable. You got to make Anthony Richardson beat you throwing the ball. Because they're going to try to get him involved in the run game. They're going to try, especially to get Jonathan Taylor going since he's returned to the lineup. You got to make him beat you with Anthony Richardson throwing the ball. Offensively, you got to do what you did last week. I mean, whatever you did against Cincinnati, do it again. Because, if your defense is able to play to the caliber that we feel like they can, if you can do what you did last week, you can win the game. I'm going with the Titans 24 to the Colts 16. Oh, yeah. Go get them, Titans. My goodness. Make the Colts cry. Make them cry. Thank you guys for joining me on the Two Tone Talk podcast. Please go sub on YouTube. We're approaching 500 subs there, and that would be an awesome thing to happen. Also, what's going on here? Something weird was going on this computer. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter X at Two Tone Talk. I'm over there. I'm live tweeting games. I'm just ranting when things go bad, celebrating when things go well. This is the Two Tone Talk podcast. We're staying way too high on the wins, way too low on the losses. Thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you Monday, hopefully a victory Monday. I'll see you then. Everybody have a good weekend. Bye, everybody.
Feel free. Feels like the world is picking on you. Feels like it's picking on me. But trying to please everybody, that ain't no way to be. So many people try to get you to fit their mold. I think it's time for a change.